No one could ever make me feel this way. I wanna be loved. There's nothing bad.
I try to really express myself when I'm dancing. As I dance, there are a lot of emotions that come up for me, so I try just to lose all consciousness in terms of actually what I'm doing and just try to express myself.
Remember Gregory Hines? Oh, he was a powerhouse, no doubt. Tap dancing legend, musical marvel, and a top-notch actor. He owned the stage and screen. It's been 21 years since he passed away. But let's not forget, his journey wasn't all glitter and glam. Behind those bright lights lurked some real-life nightmares. Now, his brother's documentary spills the tea on the gritty truth of showbiz. So, what's the scoop? Time to dig deeper into Gregory Hines himself. Buckle up, folks, because we're about to uncover the untold story behind the fame. Let's delve into this one's roller coaster ride through the real deal of Hollywood hustle. So, Gregory came into the world on Valentine's Day in 1946 in New York City. His folks were Alma and Maurice Hines. Maurice was a real triple threat. He could dance, play music, and act. They lived in a cool place called Sugar Hill in Harlem. Gregory didn't waste any time getting into the groove. He started tapping when he was only 2. Can you believe it? By the time he hit 5, he was already dancing kinda professionally. He and his big bro Maurice teamed up and learned from a dance boss named Henry Latang. But wait, it gets better. They didn't just learn from Henry, they also hung out with some super famous tap legends like Howard Sims and the Nicholas brothers. Picture this. Little Gregory and Maurice sharing the stage with big shots like Cab Calloway in Miami. They were the talk of the town, known as the Hines Kids. And then, bam, they changed their name to the Hines Brothers. But that's not all. When their dad hopped in as a drummer, they became Hines and Dad in 1963. Family business, you know? It's like something out of a movie, right? Little Gregory tapping his heart out, rubbing elbows with the stars, and keeping it all in the family. Who would have thought a kid from Harlem could make it big like that? But hey, that's just how the story goes sometimes. Now, Hines wasn't just any guy. He was like a musical magician, but with tap shoes instead of a wand. He could make those tap sounds dance around like they had a life of their own. It was like he was playing a drum solo, but with his feet. And boy, could he shake those rhythms out of nowhere. Hines was a chilled-out kind of dude. You'd often catch him in loose pants and a snug shirt, just grooving to the beat of his own taps. Now he didn't just stick to the old-school tap moves. Nah, he was all about mixing things up. He'd twist and turn those steps until they fit just right with the music. It was like he was painting with sound, throwing taps around like they were confetti. This guy didn't just dance for himself, though. Nope. He wanted everyone to love tap as much as he did. So, he went on a mission. He talked and tapped his way into getting a whole day dedicated to tap dancing. Can you imagine? A whole day just for celebrating those click-clack rhythms. And people all over the country joined in the fun. But Hines didn't stop there. Oh no, he wanted to spread the tap love even further. He teamed up with some other fancy footworkers and put on a big show for PBS. They called it Gregory Hines' Tap Dance in America. And it was a hit. Folks couldn't get enough of those fancy foot moves. Now Hines had a hero of his own, Sammy Davis Jr., who was a tap legend just like him. But when Sammy got sick, Hines was there for him. Even after Sammy passed away, Hines kept his memory alive. He talked about how Sammy passed him an invisible basketball, like he was saying, "Keep the rhythm going, buddy." And that's just what Hines did. He didn't just dance on stage, though. Nope, he took his talents to Broadway. He and his brother strutted their stuff in a show called The Girl in Pink Tights. And let me tell you, they were a hit. Hines even snagged some fancy awards for his fancy footwork in other shows. But Hines wasn't just about the glitz and glam of Broadway. He was a teacher, too. He passed on his tap magic to a whole new generation of dancers. Names like Savion Glover and Diane Walker owe a lot to Hines and his fancy footwork. In an interview once, Hines said that tap dancing was his everything. It was in his singing, his acting, even his lovemaking. Yep, you heard that right. This guy danced like his life depended on it, and maybe it did. Gregory's move to the big city turned out to be a game changer. He reunited with his brother Maurice, and together they landed a gig in a fancy show called The Last Minstrel Show. It was all about tap dancing and drumming, skills Gregory hadn't shown off in 8 years. The crowd loved it, and Gregory felt like he was back where he belonged. As time went on, Gregory's career soared. He scored roles in big Broadway plays like Huey and Sophisticated Ladies, earning fancy awards and nominations. People couldn't get enough of his fancy footwork, and his reputation as a tap dancing master grew and grew. Hines performed as the lead singer and musician in a rock band called Severance based in Venice, Los Angeles in 1975 and 1976. Severance was one of the house bands at an original music club called Honky Hoagie's Handy Hangout, otherwise known as the 4-H Club. Severance released their self-titled debut album on Largo Records in 1976. In 1986, he sang a duet with Luther Vandross called There's Nothing Better Than Love.
I wanna be loved. There's nothing better than love.
Reached the #1 position on the Billboard R&B charts. Encouraged by his first success on the chart, Hines subsequently released his self-titled debut album on Epic in 1988, with much support from Vandross. This album produced a Vandross-penned single, That Girl Wants to Dance With Me, which peaked at #6 on the R&B charts in June 1988. Hines made his Broadway debut with his brother in The Girl in Pink Tights in 1954. He earned Tony Award nominations for Eubie, 1979, Comin' Uptown, 1980, and Sophisticated Ladies, 1981, and won the Tony Award and Drama Desk Award for Jelly's Last Jam, 1992, and the Theater World Award for Eubie. So, back in 1981, he was just stepping into the big world of movies. You see, there was this flick called History of the World Part 1 by Mel Brooks. But guess what? Richard Pryor was supposed to be in it, but he got hurt real bad just before filming. So, Hines swooped in and took the spot. How did he get it? Well, Madeline Kahn, another actor in the movie, thought Hines would be a good fit. Smart move, huh? After that, Hines wasn't just sitting around. Nope, he popped up in a scary movie called Wolfen that same year. But his big break? That came in the mid-1980s. You've heard of the Cotton Club, right? Well, Hines and his brother Maurice danced their hearts out in that one, playing a tap-dancing duo straight out of the 1930s. It was like watching magic on screen. Then there was White Nights in 1985. Hines was side by side with Mikhail Baryshnikov, showing off his moves again. And oh boy, did people love him in Running Scared with Billy Crystal in 1986. Hines said he loved his role because he got to be romantic and all. He even said that usually black characters didn't get to be like that in movies. He appeared alongside Whitney Houston and Loretta Devine in the highly successful 1995 film Waiting to Exhale, and opposite Houston, Denzel Washington and Courtney B. Vance the following year in The Preacher's Wife. But Hines wasn't just about the big screen. Nope, he rocked the small screen too. In 1997, he had his own TV show called The Gregory Hines Show. It was a hit, even if it only lasted 1 season. And hey, you might have caught him on Will and Grace playing Ben Doucette. Now here's something juicy. In an interview, Hines spilled the beans about wanting roles written for white actors. He said they had more to them, more depth, like in Running Scared, where he got to have steamy scenes. He liked breaking those stereotypes wide open. In 1998, he did another movie called The Tick Code. But get this, he wasn't just an actor. Nope. He lent his voice to a cool character named Big Bill in a show called Little Bill. People loved it, and he even won an award for it in 2003. But wait, there's more. Hines wasn't just acting. He co-hosted the Tony Awards not once, but twice. Once in 1995, and again in 2002. Now that's what you call a triple threat. Dancing, acting, and hosting. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Gregory faced setbacks like getting fired from a play. But he didn't let that stop him. He kept on dancing and drumming, fueled by his passion for his art. But Gregory didn't stop there. He wanted to conquer Hollywood too. It wasn't easy at first. But eventually, he landed a role in a horror movie called Wolin. It was different from his usual stuff, but Gregory loved the challenge. His Hollywood journey didn't end there. He showed off his acting chops in comedies like History of the World Part 1 and action flicks like Off Limits. No matter the role, Gregory always gave it his all, dazzling audiences with his talent. Now Hines was quite the charmer, having been married not once, but twice. His first marriage was to a lady named Patricia Panella, and they had a daughter named Daria together. Then he tied the knot with another lady named Pamela Coslow, and they had a son named Zachary. But as they say, not all love stories have a happy ending. Hines and both his wives ended up parting ways, getting divorced. It's like one of those dramas you see on TV, but this was real life. Now here's where things get spicy. In the last 3 years of his life, Hines found love again. But get this, his new flame was none other than a bodybuilder named Negrita Jade. She was based all the way up in Toronto. Talk about a long-distance relationship, right? Also, Hines wasn't just your average Joe. He was all about making a difference in the world. Yep, you heard that right. He was into activism, which is like standing up for what's right and trying to change things for the better. Hines wasn't just about talking the talk. He walked the walk too. He was out there, hitting the streets, raising his voice for causes he believed in. One of his big passions was supporting the arts. He thought everyone should have the chance to express themselves creatively, no matter who they were or where they came from. But wait, there's more. Hines wasn't just about activism. He was a real-life superhero when it came to philanthropy, too. That's a fancy word for helping others out, by the way. Hines didn't just sit around twiddling his thumbs. He put his money where his mouth was. He supported all sorts of good causes, like helping access to education and health care. But then tragedy struck. Hines got really sick. He had liver cancer. It was serious stuff. He battled with it for a whole year without telling many people. Just imagine keeping something that big a secret. Then one sad day, Hines passed away. It happened while he was on his way to the hospital from his home in Los Angeles. He didn't make it. And you know what's heartbreaking? His TV show Little Bill was wrapping up when he died. It's like he left us right at the end of a chapter. But let's not dwell on the sad stuff. Hines left behind a whole bunch of people who loved him. There was his fiancée, Negrita Jade, his kids, Daria and Zachary, his ex-stepdaughter Jessica, and even a grandson named Lucian. They were all left to carry on his memory. They said their goodbyes to Hines at a big funeral held in a fancy church in Santa Monica, California. And then, they laid him to rest at a cemetery in Oakville, Ontario. It's where he found his final resting place, Hines's legacy. He left a mark on the entertainment world that you just can't ignore. He wasn't just a performer, he was a game changer. His moves on stage weren't just about dancing, they were like magic, captivating audiences everywhere. Hines wasn't just about shining on stage himself. He inspired a whole bunch of folks to follow in his footsteps. Young performers looked up to him like he was a shooting star, dreaming of making it big just like him. Even though Hines isn't with us anymore, his spirit lives on. People still talk about him like he's the coolest cat in town. His work is celebrated all over the place, from Broadway to Hollywood and everywhere in between. Hines showed us that one person can make a world of difference. Whether it's speaking up for what you believe in or lending a helping hand to those in need, We can all be a little bit like Hines if we put our hearts into it. And that, my friends, is the real magic of activism and philanthropy. Even though Hines was gone, his legacy lived on. The United States Postal Service did something really special. They put his face on a postage stamp. They honored him as part of their Black Heritage series. They even had a fancy ceremony for it at a school in Buffalo. It's like Hines became a piece of history, forever remembered.